Alright, I'll start the actual stream in just another minute or so. Cool, so can you guys hear me okay? I'm playing with a slightly different microphone position today, so the audio levels might need to take a little bit of tweaking. I think I should have the music dropout issue that was causing some problems yesterday, or last weekend, or the other weekend. I think I should have that resolved, but yeah, the microphone's a bit farther than it was for me, so... Alright, good. Is the voice versus music level alright? Music can be lower, just said. Alright, that is good to know. I'll do exactly that. And then I'll jack the voice up a little bit louder. Alright, how about now? Alright, well, I'm just going to assume that everything is good now, and then I'm going to get started. Yeah, so I don't think we have too many logistical issues to cover today. I appreciate the recent Patreon subscription, and just a shout out, there's going to be some interesting news coming out in about 2 or 3 months that's going to go first out to the people on Patreon, so this is a... Yeah, great opportunity great time to join that program. One other thing, what was it? Oh yeah, so the synth is still on sale until the end of day today. $100 off, code Hyperflux, just a small Hyperflux release sale. We're going to be at the LA Synth and Pedal Expo in 3 weeks. I think it's the weekend of the 21st June. So anybody that's in that area, definitely feel free to swing by and show up. All right, but anyways, so what we're going to do today, it's going to be a pretty broad collection of topics. I think this is going to sort of fill in as one of the first proper Cat Party tutorials. So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but in Cat Party, none of the knobs do anything, none of the buttons do anything, none of the navigation does anything. And the idea is, it was very intentional because I wanted this to be where people go to learn how to do all that kind of stuff themselves. So we're going to cover all those bases, in particular with respect to video processing. All right, so let me click on this thing right here. All right, so what we are going to do is first go talk about how the video configuration happens. So I think, let me go to the LCD panel real quick. Stop it. Yeah, so I'm going to go to this view for a moment. Let me click on the focus a little bit. So, I had a question on the YouTube channel, or one of the YouTube videos the other day, and it was asking for some clarification on how these video slots work. So, you'll see right here there are 4 video slots, and if I click on this right here, I actually have 3 video cameras plugged in. So the idea is you can arbitrarily map any of your cameras to any of these slots, and then you go into one of these sections right here, and you can see that there's various video textures. These are 4 textures, one for each slot. All right. So I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna configure the cameras. So I got this camera right here on that channel. I could also switch it to this camera. I could also switch it to this camera. But I'm only gonna be using, I don't even know where this one is. This one's over here. I'm only gonna be using 2 of them today. So we'll go back to this camera right here on this channel, and we'll go to this, or slot I guess they're called here. We'll go to this one right here. We'll go in here and we'll configure the resolutions. Yeah, I'm gonna be using 1920 or 1280 by 720 today. And I'll do that one here too. All right. So the thing does support 1080p processing. It kind of bogs down a little bit when you have more than one 1080p camera in there. I'm still working on that, but at the moment it's yeah, it's one of the limitations. So yeah, now you'll see if you go into the cat module right here, you can switch between the various video textures. So video texture 1, video texture 2, and you'll see there's nothing on slot 3 or slot 4, they're just empty. Something else to know, so you see, I'm gonna go in here and hit mirror because I'm actually moving my hand to the left, and in the video, my hand goes to the right. So you go into this module, you can see there's a little button right here. I'm gonna go to mirror. So now it's following my motions a little bit better. The general rule of thumb is if the camera is pointed in the direction of the synth, then you want a mirror. If it's pointed away from the synth, you want to keep that off. All right, so let me see if I need to do that for, yeah, actually let's just leave that there for a moment. Another thing to know, this is a new feature from, yeah, so the synth right now, you definitely cannot use it to play video clips off of a flash drive. That's something that's going to be coming in the next couple of months, but it's not supported at the moment. At the moment, the only way to get video into it is to stream it into the synth. So you'll need a video player, either a laptop or some other device, and then you hook that up to the video capture card that came with the synth, and then you configure it in the same kind of way. But you at the moment you can't put video files on a flash drive. It's something I'm working on, but yeah, it's definitely not quite supported yet. All right, so I'm gonna switch off of this view right here and go back to the top view right here. All right, so this is a new feature that came with one of the last releases. So the knobs here now give you a global like zoom control for all the cameras. And you see it kind of has like a mirror repeat if you zoom out beyond what the synth is capable of displaying. This one right here is a pan control, and again you can push these buttons down to reset. Pan this way. And there's like some windowing controls here too. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but you see like I'm kind of moving in the region that it's focusing on, and then it now kind of mirrors if I go outside of this region. You can kind of go in here. This is really useful if you are streaming video into the synth and you don't want to stream the entire window from what the stream is. You want to, if you have like a smaller window on your desktop and you only want to feed that into the synth, then you kind of do this windowing and then you zoom in. I'll try to display that like next week. I think that's actually a pretty useful thing. All right, come on, buttons. All right, so we have 2 video channels hooked up right now. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna talk about using the synth as like a video mixer and a video effect processing unit. So we're gonna basically create patches and controls right here in order to, yeah, kind of like show that that's one of the major use cases of the synth. All right, so first of all, we're gonna talk about bookmarks. So bookmarks are per instrument. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this is a navigation button. So you hold down the red button, easy navigation to settings, always easy navigation to the home screen. Whoops. And then, yeah, easy navigation to the bookmark menu. All right, so how bookmarks work is you can go to pretty much any point in the UI. So now we're in the cat module in the cat party instrument. We're gonna hit bookmark, and then we're gonna hit this button right here. All right, now anywhere we are in the synth, we can hold down this red button, and now we go to the cat module. So all of the other instruments come with predefined bookmarks, like the fractal instrument, If you go right here, it'll take you into the texture module of the seed. If you go right here, it'll take you into the recurse module. If you go into here, it'll take you into the color module, etc. But the cat party instrument doesn't come with any bookmarks because the idea is you create your own here. All right, so we have this one bookmark to the cat module. We're going to create another bookmark to the party module. So another bit of clarification here. So cat party was originally literally just like some fucking pictures of cats that got put through some like effects. But then it got kind of generalized, and now it's basically, it starts with some kind of texturing source, whether it's a picture of a cat or like a video or any of the other texturing source. And then it's put through, and that's called the cat module for historical reasons. And then that's put through the party module, which now, as opposed to just being an effect, is multiple effects and multiple types of effects. So it's basically a way to just start with some texture and put it through an effect. It's like a pretty basic pipeline on some kind of level, but there's a lot of really advanced stuff you can do with it. So now we have this one bookmark that takes you into the cat module. All right. We're going to create another bookmark that takes you into the party module, just because we're going to be playing around with these a lot today. All right. By default, bookmark 5 takes you to the library, which sets up like tagging and stuff like that. Bookmark 4 right here takes you into the modulation module. And we're going to leave bookmark 3 empty right now because we don't have anything good to do with it. All right. So we're going to configure the library. So you see, for instance, in the fractal instrument, all right, it comes with a bunch of patches. All right, so some of these patches here are tagged blue, which means that they're the default patch for either an instrument or a module. This is not tagged blue because it's not the default patch. This is the default patch for the fractal instrument. This is not the default patch, for instance. All right, so the reason I brought that up is because, for instance, you can go into the seed module and check out the library here, and you see the default patch for the seed module, and you have all this other kind of content. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to filter out all of the pre-generated content that comes with the synth. Like pretty much everything that was released with the synth that's not a default patch for a module is going to be filtered out, and we're basically just going to create all of our content from scratch. So we do that by creating a new tag. All right, tags are basically a little bit of text that you can attach to a patch, and it basically just lets you identify them. It's pretty standard kind of terminology from music software and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're gonna have I was gonna say a CP patch, but I don't think I'm gonna use that term. Cat party or tag. All right, so now we're only going to include stuff with the cat party tag. All right, and now we'll see that only the default patches are still left because nothing has been tagged with this cat party tag yet because we haven't created anything. So another thing to know, actually, let's go to the cat party instrument, and now you go to the library. Again, you see there's nothing there because we're filtering by this tag. We go into the cat module, and you see there's still a whole bunch of stuff here. All right. Oh wait, this is weird. Oh man. All right, I gotta fix that. The way this is kind of architected is not the greatest. All right. I'm not even really gonna elaborate, but it's just something I need to make a note of real quick. All right, sorry about that. So we're going into here. Yeah, I don't even know. I think it's hilarious, and also like children love it, which just kind of makes me incredibly happy. All right, so we're gonna go into the settings. All right, there's some library settings that we're gonna turn on real quick. So auto tag on save, we're gonna turn that on. So that means that basically every time, warning, what kind of warning we have? right, never mind. So we're gonna turn this on, which basically means every time you save a patch, it's gonna automatically add the cat party tag to it. All right. Yeah, so right now I'm not even using dongles or adapters. I have 3 cameras plugged in. They're turned off right now. I'm gonna turn them back on real quick, because we're just on the cat image. And you see I just hit this bookmark button to quickly navigate into the cat module. Come on, where are we at? All right, video texture. So I have 3 cameras plugged in. I don't have any like dongles or adapters, but you can plug like as many adapters into this thing as you want. You can plug like a hub in to actually expand the capabilities. But we're gonna go back to the settings and keep configuring the library. All right. We're also gonna turn on filter subpatches. So by default, actually, yeah, by default, when you click on a tag in here, it only filters out like the patches for the instruments. I don't know if that's the correct behavior or not, but now if we go into the party module, yeah, same thing with party. These all should be filtered out too. Man, all right. Anyways, I'm gonna make a note of that too. I think I didn't want people to delete these patches, so I made them like default. Anyways, we'll get over that. All right, so we're gonna go into the cat module. All right, so you know, I mentioned that we have 2 cameras plugged in. All right, camera 1 or camera 2, camera 1. So there's this module right here. It is called the AB module. So this module basically lets you blend between 2 different sources. Source 1, we're going to put the video texture 1. Source 2, where are we at? Video texture 2. All right. So inside of here we have one control. It's the mix. So now we have 50% of. Yeah, some of the capture cards are a little bigger than others. It's like a $2 like USB extension cable should be able to solve that problem. Or you can just get like a hub or something like that, and that'll also help. So we have this mix control right here, all right? So mix all the way to the left, you get one channel. Mix all the way to the right, you get another channel. You can also choose between the blending modes. So anybody that knows anything about like Photoshop knows that there's several different ways to like blend between images. And these are some pretty standard like Photoshop blending modes, all right? So right now it's basically just taking these 2 images, it's blending them, and it's putting it through this party module, which I'm gonna turn off just so we can see a little bit more clearly what's going on with these blend modes. Oh wait, yeah. And hyper effect off, effect 1 off. All right, navigate to the cat module, go back into here, and now we can play with a mix. So mix here, and you see, because we're using this weird color burn blend mode, when you're kind of halfway in between with like the mix at 0.5, it's doing some weird kind of nonsense. All right, we're just gonna go back to the standard alpha blend. All right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go in here and we're gonna save this module, and it's gonna be called AB. We'll call it video AB. All right. So now, and you see info. You see it was automatically tagged with the cat party tag because that's what we set up to do in the library. All right. So now you go right here. This is the default cat image that comes with the synth, and now you can just load this video mixer up automatically. All right. So we're basically gonna stick with this video mixer for I think the majority of this video. So you guys see that when you're at the cat party instrument, none of these knobs do anything. Once we had gone into this module here, now because we're in a submodule, we actually have access to this module's parameter controls. So now we can have all these offset controls, we can have this rotation control, we can have this scale control, for instance, all right? And then when we are in here, we have the mix control, all right? So in case you guys didn't know, these knobs are also buttons. You push it down, the default is reset, but there are some other options. What is going on? The next one is info, which basically takes you into the parameter page. It tells you tells you the current value, lets you set the current value, lets you do all kinds of modulation stuff. It tells you the range of the parameter and gives you a little bit of information. Another one of the options is macro, all right? So what this is going to do is that it's going to bring the parameter control all the way to the top level of the instrument, all right? So by default, we're creating a macro on channel 1. That's going to be the first knob. If we just hit save right now, it's going to do exactly what you want. All right. Now there's two other things to know. Or one other thing to know. So right here, it says cat party. So what we're doing right now is we're creating a mapping. A mapping connects a signal, and right now the signal is listening for a knob change on channel 1. And what it's going to do when it finds one of these signals is it's going to execute this action. And the action is increment the value based on how fast it rotates with a certain attack and things like that. So it's basically listening for signals on knob 1 and then increments the value of the mix parameter. All right, so that's a mapping. And mappings can be saved either to the instrument or to the individual patch. Right now we haven't created any patches yet, so our only option is to save it to the instrument. And this means anytime you're in this instrument that this patch is now going to be live. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Or the mapping is going to be live. All right, so now we are in the cat party instrument, and you see that we now have a macro control. All right. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go back here and we're going to turn on effect 3 just because we can. All right. So you see that we have a macro control now. Basically switching between the two cameras as you go from left to right, or if you go from 0 to 1. What we're going to do now is we're going to play with the modulation system a little bit. All right. So we're going to go into here. All right. So how the modulation system works is that it creates these 4 auxiliary patterns right here, and the patterns are basically a value from 0 to 1, which basically lets you change the value of a parameter based on the location of the pixel on the screen. I'll elaborate here. So another thing to know right here, there is also a preview button. All right, what preview does, so we're in the cat module in the cat party instrument. What preview does is it lets you visualize a module completely and totally in isolation. All right. So we go here because we're in the cat module. We now get to visualize this module entirely without the party module happening at all. So we go into the party module, and we can turn preview on here. And this is, going to give us a demonstration of what the party module does, and it's going to be the exact same as a result, because the party module is the end of the signal chain. We go into the modulation module, and we'll hit preview here, and you get a visualization of the modulation module completely in isolation. So this is showing you these 4 modulation patterns. So the one in the upper left, that's modulation channel 1. And a thing to know here is that the colors don't mean anything. They're just a way to visualize these 4 different channels. So where modulation channel 1 is black, that's a value of 0. When it's pure red, that's a value of 1. All right. So we're going to hook modulation channel 1 up to this mix control. All right. So right now the mix control just goes from one to the other. So this is the mix 0, which gives us the left channel or channel A. This is mix 1. It gives us the right channel or channel B. All right. So now we're going to hook it up to the modulation pattern 1, and maybe you can see what happens. It's not super obvious. But where that modulation pattern was black, we get channel A. Where it was pure red, we get channel B. All right, so we're gonna go into this modulation pattern. We're gonna click on preview so we can just look at it in isolation, and maybe this will make a little more sense. All right, so we're going to make it just be a binary switch. All right, so check this out. Frequency down, frequency 1. All right, then we're gonna move it off to the side. So let's put it right here. And we're gonna put it through, instead of a cosine wave, a pulse wave or square wave. So now it's either on or off. All right. We're gonna change the frequency down or back to 0.5. All right, now check this out. Then we're gonna move it off to the right. So we're basically just creating a black and white pattern. All right. On the left of this pattern, it has value 0. On the right, it has value 1. So now we'll go back into the cat party module, and you'll see that on the left side of the screen, we have, I don't know why it's not centered, but on the left side of the screen, because the value is 0 of that modulation pattern, we have channel A, and on the right, we have the other channel. Why is this not centered? That is very confusing to me. Oh, I think it's because I have, yeah, right here. This guy, we have this pan control right here. All right. So I'm going to set that to 0. This button's not working well. There we go. Yeah. So now we have, because of this modulation pattern, it's choosing which region becomes channel A versus channel B. All right. And for instance, we can go back into this modulation pattern right here, and we'll go into it. You can like rotate it, and you see the region that's channel A and channel B is switching. It's because we are rotating this pattern right here, and the pattern is controlling the mix control. All right. So it's slightly obtuse, but it's one of the easily more powerful parts of the synth. All right. So what we're gonna do is reset that back down to here, turn this off. All right, so now we just have basically a left-right mixer. Actually, yeah, so here's another thing. Let's just do this. All right, we're gonna take this origin right here. So another thing you can do with these buttons. So origin is basically the center of this thing right here. We're going to put it on an LFO, and we're just gonna use the default controls. Actually, we're going to set this down to -1. So it's going to oscillate. We're creating a sine wave. It's going to move from -1 to 1 at a rate of 32 beats. So right now we have the music plugged in, so it's analyzing the music, and it knows the BPM, and it's going to synchronize this oscillation up with the BPM. So, I kind of like this. So, another thing to know. All right, so we're going to go back into the modulation module, and we're going to save this modulation pattern. All right? So, it's basically this one channel right here that's just oscillating back and forth, and everything else is normal. So, you can kind of see what's going on right there. So, this is all 4 channels at once. All right, we're going to save it. All right, we're going to save it as mod cat 1. All right. So something to know that this is very unusual. So when you save a module and load a module, it normally just saves the entire like chain. So when you save a modulation module, it actually saves all the... Yeah, it's actually pretty complicated. Like, I need to make more content. It's very powerful, and it's a fine line to walk between having like this ability to control things and also having like a streamlined UI on this type of small device. It's definitely not always intuitive, there's no doubt about it, and I'm always open for suggestions on how to make things more intuitive. I think there's still some rough ends. I've made like a large amount of progress in just kind of streamlining how things work. There are definitely absolutely some still warts, and I promise, or still some warts, but I promise all that stuff is definitely going to get fixed at some point. But yeah, I'm always open to suggestions about how things don't make sense or how things can be improved. Like I very much welcome any kind of like thoughts that other people might have. And also one of the reasons I do these streams is because just getting to use it and trying to explain it to people actually helps me kind of realize maybe in a way that I wouldn't have otherwise, like what is intuitive and what's making sense and what's not making sense. So yeah, so this is definitely like a pretty obtuse thing, but when you load a modulation module, or when you save a modulation module, it also saves with it all of the parameters that have been modulated. All right, so we load this, you'll see that this mix parameter is modulated by channel 1. Let me go back and explain that again. All right, so we'll load the default cat party instrument. We'll load this video mixer that we just created. This video mixer has a parameter deep inside of it called mix. It's all the way down to the texture module right here. All right. And now we load this modulation pattern we just created. You see the parameter right now is not modulated at all. We load the modulation pattern, and it not only loads this pattern right here, it has modulated this parameter. So that is a very handy way to like make basically just like crazy ass effects and keep them in the modulation module that you can just turn on and off. I mean, there is nothing on here that is accessible to the user that can't be used to do something cool. And maybe it's pathological, but I'm never going to remove something from the synth that can be used to do something cool. I'm just gonna probably keep adding more and more stuff for people to use and people to mess around with. I mean, you definitely do run into a problem of organization at that point. That's actually one of the bigger problems with this. There's like literally over 1,000 modules on here, and they're not really well organized. The tagging system should be able to help with that a lot, but yeah, with such a large number of parameters, and there's like 300 processing modules, there's a lot of content on here, and you absolutely do run into a problem of organization or trying to figure out what you want and how to get it and where it is, and that's definitely a problem I have to solve, but I would definitely argue with maybe they all don't need to be accessible, because I honestly want like more stuff on here, more cool things that can happen, and like by the time I'm done with this thing, there's going to be like 1,000 processing modules and several thousand parameters that people can play around with, like, and it's really just going to be a question of like how to actually expose that to the users in a reasonable and like sensible manner. All right, so anyways, so we've created this AB mixer right here. All right, we've created a modulation pattern, and now we're going to go play with the effects. We're going to create some effects. All right, so in this module right here, you basically have, we're gonna ignore the lighting for now. You have three types of things. There's 4 modules. One is a deformation, which basically just kind of distorts space. Another is a hyper effect, which is like an effect, but it can be really complicated. Then you kind of stream 2 effects into each other. So right now, we're gonna turn the effects off, all right? Effect off, effect on, effect off, effect on. All right. So something else we're gonna do we are going to... Actually, oh, I forgot to do that. Anyways, let's turn the effect back on. So right now, effect 1 is at 1, effect 2 is at 0. So the only effect that's doing anything is this rainbow effect right here. So I'll just go in here and just go through a couple of the effects. Kind of like the saturate effect, or this pastel effect, or we're on pastel or saturate. I think we're on saturate. All right, so you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna show you another interesting thing you can do here. All right, we're gonna make another macro control. It's gonna be based on effect 1. All right. It's going to go into channel 2 because channel 2 is the one that is open right now. So now we have another macro control right here. We can turn this effect on and off. All right. So we're going to make it do more than just this. All right. So you see in the party module, we actually have a hyper effect, which is this aberration thing right here, which does this. It's chromatic aberration, which basically just splits your image into RGB components in three different little like bits, and we also have this other effect right here, which is an inversion. All right. So we have this macro control right here. All right. How do we actually get into here? Yeah, we go to IO. We have a macro control right here. All right. We're gonna do edit right here. We're going to select effect 2, and then we're gonna do save new. All right. So now, macro 2 is affecting effect 1 amount and effect 2 amount. And now it says multi. All right, so both effects off, both effects on. So we're also going to make it, this knob control the hyper effect amount as well. All right, so check this out. I'm going to save new so we don't overwrite it. Alright, so now this knob controls all 3 of these effects at the same time. So we basically just have one control that turns on and off all of our colorizing effects. It basically turns the party module on or off. Alright? If you go to macro right here, you can now tap on this and you get to see all 3 of these. That's actually a bit of a glitch right there. I'll make a note of that. Text of hyper effect is not showing up there. So the reason I brought this up is because I wanted to illuminate a point that basically a knob can do more than one thing, a button can do more than one thing. All right, so right now we have this knob hooked up to 3 different independent controls. Okay, so let's go back into the party module and let's just create 3 different, actually let's save this one right here. Cat, come on. Okay. So we've created one collection of effects. Go to dither. Go to this one right here. And we'll go to this right here. All right, and now we'll save that as cat okay. like that a lot, actually. All right, we're gonna save this one as cat. Come on, stop it. All right, so now we basically just created 3 new effects, all right? Effect 1, effect 2, and effect 3. Now, if we go back into the cat module, this knob basically turns the effects entirely on or entirely off. So now we're going to wire up this button right here. All right? We're going to go to I/O. We're going to go to New. We're going to go to Signal, and we're going to hit Learn. What Learn is going to do is going to wait for the next signal to come in, and it's going to put that as the signal that this mapping is based on. Button 1, all right? So when the synth finds a signal on button 1, and when the value is greater than or equal to 1, so that means when it's pressed. So the button presses actually output 2 signals. When you push it, it outputs value 1. When you let it go, it outputs value 0. So this is a condition on the signal. What we're going to do, we're going to go into the system, and we're going to do next patch for party module. And it's going to take, let's just make it take 2 beats. And then we're going to save. All right, so now we're in the cat party instrument, and we'll turn the effect on. And now you'll see that on the button we have an increment module action. All right, so what this is going to do, this is going to load the next effect. So now we have a way, we built a way to cycle video effects. We've also added a knob where you can turn the effects on and off. We've added a knob that it's a little difficult to explain what this is doing right now. It's controlling the modulation amount. And then, yeah, we can cycle through these effects. All right, so let's keep playing around with this. Let's turn off the modulation for channel 1, or for the mix control. And now our knob just goes and mixes from their 2 camera perspectives. So what we're actually going to do, we're going to take this button mapping we just made, and we're going to move it over to channel 2. All right? So now it's this button right here, as opposed to the first one. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go into this texture module, and we're going to create some more of these. So we made this one AB video mixer. So we're going to have another one where instead of mixing video texture A with video texture B, we're going to mix it with here, some audio. All right? And we're going to save that as odd A B. All right, we're going to go in here, and instead of channel B, what are we going to do? Lights. Yeah, all right. We're going to go in here, and we're going to save this as... come on. So is this making sense so far? You guys have any questions? Feel free to like interrupt me at any point if I'm not being clear about something. I know that this is like a giant info dump. I'm gonna do more streams kind of like this going forward, where it's just like a lot of information. I'll hopefully get a little bit better about kind of explaining this. And I'm also gonna, like, a lot of this information is available in our tutorial videos, but it's not quite as organized. Well, it's maybe a little more organized, but it's also scattered across a bunch of different videos, so it might be hard to actually like even know what you're really looking for. So yeah, I'm gonna make more content like this, where it's basically just going over all of the features of the synth at once. But if things are not clear, definitely let me know. So we're gonna start. We'll go to all of our IO mappings. So these are all the IO mappings that are saved for the current instrument. We have one for the button we made that increments those patches. We have one for the macro control that switches between our two video sources. And we have one that turns effects on and off, all right? So we're gonna go into here, and what we're gonna do is, instead of incrementing the party module, what we're gonna do is we're gonna increment the cat module. All right, and we're gonna save this on channel 1. And we're gonna go save new. All right, yes. All right, so now, yeah, so every time you save, it's absolutely considered a new patch. That's a very good question. So the only way to edit something that's already been, all right, so yeah, let me go back to this. So we're in the cat module. Every time you save, it does not affect what is currently kind of loaded. So if you tap right here, you go to the library page, all right? The only way to edit something that's already stored is to hit overwrite, and then what is currently loaded is going to overwrite this module right here. We don't want to do that. Or you hit delete, or you go in here and you have the same options. So when you hit save, it's always generating something new. It's always asking for a new name. If you use a name that's already being used, it'll tell you can't do that. So yeah, very good question. It's a very common question that people ask, and hopefully that answered it sufficiently. So what we did, we just created this mapping, and now button 1 cycles between basically our video mixer, our mixer between video channel 1 and these bands, and our mix between video channel 1 and these lights. And then button 2 cycles through various effects. Knob 2 turns the effects on and off. All right, maybe I didn't ask. All right, answer your question. So I'm not saving every step of the way. So first of all, when you do any kind of controls, it is not storing anything. The only way it will ever store anything is if you actually actively hit save, overwrite, and replace. All right. The only way you can modify anything that's stored is with the overwrite or delete options. All right. And I'm saving. So something you might not be aware of is that you can save either the entire patch or you can save a sub-component of the patches. So what I have been doing is I've been saving sub-components. So I've been building up a library of like blocks that you can swap in and out. All right. So I've not saved any patches for the instrument. I've only saved patches for the cat module and for the party module. And I've saved three patches here. I've saved this one right here, which is an AB blend. Whoops. Which is an AB blend. I've saved this one right here. And again, we're in the cat module. So it's not that I'm saving the individual steps. I'm trying to build up a library of components that you can then kind of combine. So right now we've had these 3 components that I'm going to cycle through here. And I have 3 components here, and 3 times 3 is 9. So we basically just created like 9 patches. Nine patches that you can then individually start controlling. All right. All right. So I am going to take a break for about 1 to 2 minutes to get some water, and I'll be right back. Alright, cool. Yeah, I mean, you can get them for like $10. You know, they're readily available on Amazon. Most of them should work. So, yeah, that's correct. Quality apology. All right, so what we're gonna do now? So we've created some texture sources here. We've created some party sources here. We're now gonna go back into the party and play around with this deform module. So we're gonna turn all the effects off, all right? Wait. Yeah, there we go. So, inside of this party module, you also have a deform. You got this tiley guy right here. Let's do that. You can change the wave here. This is one of these things where it's not worth your time to actually understand what this means. Let's just play around with it and see what you like. We're gonna go back to default, which I believe is this guy. Oh no. Ah, there's so many previews that are missing off of this. Alright, solid. Anyways, alright, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna save this as cat def. Come on. So now we've created this little tile deformation. All right, so we're gonna do the same thing we just did. We're gonna create a small library of these deformations. All right, So instead of tile, all right, let's do tile 2. Tile 2 is awesome. And with tile 2, we're actually going to put this on an LFO. All right. So hold down the button, go to LFO. The minimum of the LFO is going to be 2. The maximum is going to be 4. And we're just going to kind of oscillate between that of this value. Let's make it a little bit faster. Actually, I want that to be even faster. And I also want the value to be lower. Ah, come on. All right, and I think there's some other controls here too. In the button, we have N, which is 10. Let's put it down to... All right. So now we're going to save this as I need a button right here which basically lets you copy the last name that you just entered into here. All right, so now we have, wait, come on. A second deformation. We're gonna go with Pixelate now. Or we're gonna go with bands. Yeah, we're gonna go with bands. I'm gonna turn down the intensity, which basically controls how much the bands are jiggling around. So this is based on the music, so it's actually using the frequency bands of the music to determine how much to offset each one of these slices here. So I'm gonna, what happens if I make this like super large? All right, keep it. All right, so now we're gonna save this as cat def 3. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back in here and we're gonna create another IO mapping for button 3. So we're gonna go in here and hit new, signal, learn, button 3, action, next patch, in the cat, no, in the party, where are you? Oh my god, all right, party, oh god, I gotta get rid of that sub-party nonsense. There's a glitch as well. All right, so now we're going to save that. Another thing you can do before saving your mappings, you can just trigger them just to see if it's working as expected. So let's see. Trigger. Hey, how about that? So the idea is this button cycles through all of the deformations we just created. All right, so we're saving it. So now we have these 3 buttons which basically just cycle through these subcomponents that we made. So right now we have this A/B mixer. Now we have this effect that we're going to turn on here, and now we have these deformations. So we've basically just created 27 patches right here by creating 3 for each of these components right here, of these submodules. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27, so we've effectively created 27 patches. Oops, wrong button. There. All right, so what are we doing now? We're going to add some more buttons. All right, so button 5. What button 5 is going to do, go to learn, button 5. It's going to do a couple things, but they're going to be pretty similar. It's going to random new party effect 1. All right. So basically button 5 is going to change the effect to a random effect. All right. You can configure the randomization in a lot of different ways. Like you can read the manual if you want to know what this stuff does, or you can actually literally just, I think, hold down on this right there, and it will give you some text. You guys know about the help system, right? This help system, it's right here. It's got all kinds of like links and everything. You can tap on all this kind of stuff. It's very extensive, and also you can hold down on anything, and you get some bit of help text there too. All right. So we're gonna save this. Yes. All right. Now button 5. Random effect. I'm actually going to go in here and edit it and make it faster. And I'm also going to basically duplicate it. So a way to duplicate an event or a mapping is to go ahead and hit edit and then do save new. So as well as randomizing effect 1, we're going to randomize effect 2. And then I'm going to do save new. And now button 5 randomizes effect 1 and effect 2. All right. Random effects. This stream isn't the help. Yeah, I mean, it kind of is. Oh, I think I reloaded this modulation thing. Turn that back off. And again, you go in here, turn the effects off, turn the effects on. Song kind of rules.
Taking her to the I just get some Mr. Funk Master. Yo, be that's for me. Taking her to the I just get some Mr. Funk Master. Yo, be that's for many, you know. Taking her to the I just get some Mr. Funk Master. Yo,
All right, anybody have any questions? I kind of like this. I'm gonna turn these like lights off. I'm just fucking around now. I think I've covered pretty much everything that I want to for the major part of the tutorial. It's like, let's add some feedback. So now I'm just gonna mess around. Where are you? There we go. Anybody have any general suggestions on how I can make this thing more understandable? Because, like, I don't know. How many of you guys even knew that you can, like... No, you can't really combine the instruments. The thing's just generally not, like, powerful enough to run more than one instrument at the same time. Like, this synth is, like, stupidly fucking powerful and capable, but, like, it generally is, like, hard for people to use and wrap their heads around. I'm trying to figure out exactly the best way to, like, approach that, because I don't think most people, like, I mean, even people that, like, own one of these and been fucking around with it, I still think don't quite realize the scope of what it can actually do, let alone people that don't even have one, you know? No, I haven't had Hyperflux at all running today. Oh, wait. So, I mean, you can, like, if you load Hyperflux, you can run video into it. But that's, you don't need to use Cat Party to actually run video. Yeah, let's fuck around with that. So, first of all, this patch rules. I'm gonna save this. I'll like, give you guys this, whatever this thing is. Yeah, I'll show you how that works. So there's a couple of ways to use video. All right. So first of all, let me save this guy right here. Sure. All right. So check this out. We're gonna load Hyperflux. Actually, here, let's go back into Cat Party. You know. So we have these. Actually, let's go home right here. We have these two video channels coming in right here, both on device 1 and device 2, which give us video texture 1 and video texture 2. All right. So what we've been doing today is we've just literally been feeding the video directly into the texturing module in the Cat Party instrument. All right. I mean, So there is an action. So maybe this will solve your problem. So first of all, let me answer this first question first. So right now we're using the texturing module. We're using the video texture that's being fed into the cat module, which is getting fed into the party. All right. So, but that's not the only way to get video into the system. You can also do it through the modulation system, and every single instrument has a modulation module. All right. So right now we are just using the wave and guide generator in order to make this modulation pattern. The first parameter in the modulation module is a mod mix, all right? So there's also a texturing source inside of the modulation channel. If you go from mod mix, all right, so first of all, let's just do this right here. We're gonna load, come on, there's way too many of these. So you see, so right now we're previewing the modulation channel. Mod mix 0 means all the modulation comes from this generative pattern. Mod mix of 1 means that it's going to feed the texture into the modulation system. So right now we're blending between this generative pattern and the texture. So instead of using a texture here, we could use the video system, all right? So now we're generating a modulation pattern which is based on the video, all right? And now with this modulation pattern, we can use that to modulate any of these parameters in here. For instance, effect 1 amount. So where the video is dark, the effect is off. Where the video is light, the effect is on. All right? And this applies to all of the instruments as well. And this is how you get video into, say, Hyperflux, because Hyperflux doesn't have any explicit texturing modules. In like the fractal instruments, it does have a texturing input on the seed. But Hyperflux does not have a texturing system. So the only way to get video input is, actually it does have a texturing system. It has a texturing system right in here. So here, there's actually a couple ways to do this. You don't even need to use a modulation system. You just blend in some of the video texture right here. This has nothing to do with Cat Party, but it is using the video system. All right, but if you don't want to do this, you can also do exactly what I just showed you. Navigate into the modulation module, modulation pattern 1, video texture 1. All right, and then we're going to blend in modulation pattern, and then we're going to go into one of these parameters. And then use, let's not do that. Modulation pattern 1. This is another way to get video into the system. All right, so maybe that answers this question. So now the other question, disable the save modulation mappings on load. So for instance, so we have right now only this one modulation mapping that we just created, all right? Video being fed into here, or video is not being fed into here. Now video is being fed into here, all right? Great, glad to hear it. All right, and the modulation question. So there's an action that can be taken on like a button press or on Actually, shoot, you might actually even be able to do exactly what you just described already. Oh no, it actually... Yeah, never mind. Alright, so anyways. There is an action right here. Let's just put it on button 5 for the moment. Or button 6, yeah, let's do that. It's called remove modulation. So basically, you could have this hooked up like a MIDI button or something like that, or one of the buttons on the synth. And what it will do, I'm gonna save it to global group. So now we have this button right here. Wait, what? Where did that even go? Also rules. Yeah, so my point is there is an action you can trigger. I don't know where it went right there. Just save right here. All right. So right now the camera is being input into here through a modulation, and I can hit this button. Now it's gone. So that right there is an action you can hook up to a button or a MIDI control or something like that, where you can turn off any of the modulation you don't want. I guess I'm not 100% sure why you would want to generally turn off the modulation for like a patch. So let me turn off the cat party flag right here. So we have like all of these things right here. There's a bunch of modulation here. So another thing you can also do, you can literally go into mod list right here and then just hit remove all, and that'll stop all the modulation. And it's not bad. I mean, it definitely gives it a slightly different character. That's the easiest way to do it. But I mean, we did just create this button mapping that also does the exact same thing. So maybe that helps answer the question there. But anyways, I think that's probably the end of the stream for today. Yeah, I'll be back. I'm pretty sure next weekend. If anybody has any suggestions on what you'd like to see, definitely let me know. I'll try to be coming up with more like kind of informative kind of content like this, as opposed to just like fucking around. I'll probably do a bit of each. I've kind of felt like the ones where I was just like screwing around and making patches, I got kind of stuck into dead ends, and yeah. So I do believe there needs to be a lot more informative content. So hopefully he will end up watching this and yeah, try and like learning something from it. Yeah. So does that answer your question? All right. Anyways, great. Yeah. I will see you guys next weekend then.